Hi everyone, we're sitting here with Rohit today, and Rohit is a futurist. Rohit, would you like to tell us exactly what what do you do?
Our business does mainly research consulting and then speaking about the future. We try to help people understand what are the trends, the forces, the ideas, the technologies that could shape the future, and we use that to identify emerging industries and to help businesses work out how they can completely transform themselves. So, for example, one of the things we're working on today is how do you transform an airport? All the work that's going on in airports is designed to speed up your process and your journey through the airport. Less time for check-in, less time for security, less time for boarding. But the faster you go through the airport, the less time you may spend on retail and food and beverage, which is how the airport makes money. So we're trying to explore what are the forces that would create interesting leisure opportunities in the future. How do you make the airport a compelling place that people actually want to go and spend time so that airports can be financially viable?
How do you identify a problem, such as the airport? What made you realize?
Typically you're talking to customers about what's happening, you look at trends that are going on, and then you ask the counter question. So we looked at what was happening in airports and we said, well, hang on, there's a big issue here that the faster you speed up the process, the less time customers will give themselves to go through the airport. That could damage your core financial income streams. What are you doing about it? And what we realised is that most weren't really thinking about it. A few are. So we then partnered with a major player in the industry to do a study on this.
Okay. How do you envision a consumer 5 years or 10 years from now? What would be their daily routine?
A number of things are happening. Personal technology is just exploding. So the sophistication of the technology you'll carry with you, the sophistication of the interface, the way you'll enter data, it could be literally no screen, just a virtual screen in front of you, maybe input directly through tapping your skin, very rich display, very rich overlay of data on the real world with augmented reality. Very immersive for you in terms of how you're connecting with the technology. All these things are coming. What we'll want as individuals is more and more personalisation, more and more of an experience customised to me, delivered through my technology the way I want. One of the things everyone talks about today is owning the customer. That notion will die very quickly once the customer starts to decide who's allowed to communicate with them and what you can communicate. Then it's about who manages the customer relationship, and most importantly from a customer point of view, who takes responsibility when things go wrong. Those are the people who really own the customer because they'll deliver service and they'll stand out in the eyes of the customer.
Do you think the device that you carry with you is going to become irrelevant? Considering that everything's going to be connected to the cloud with information being brought to you?
I think the devices will continue to evolve. We'll have 3D displays, we'll have multi-sensory interfaces to these devices so we can feel things as well as see and hear them. So the devices will evolve and evolve. They won't disappear, we'll still want them, but over time, increasingly, you'll use parts of your body to do the data entry, tapping your skin or waving your hand. The display might even be on your retina in maybe 20 years' time. So this is all coming, and I don't think we need to get hung up on the individual device. We just need to understand that most of our communication, most of the information delivered to us, most of the interactions we'll have electronically will be via things that we carry around with us rather than things that are fixed to our desktop.
One of the issues that a lot of people complain about is the battery life of their device in the current generation. Have you seen anything moving forward? As this technology progressed?
There's a lot of work going on low power consumption batteries and things with a longer life. You're going to see more and more of this new organic battery models. There are a whole range of different battery technologies currently being explored. It's the same things that are being explored for electric vehicles to give them a 90 mile or 120 kilometre distance on one charge. Are the same sort of technologies. People are also saying, well, can we condense that and put it into our devices? Can we start to look at solar powered or even motion powered? So as you're walking, you're literally charging your device. There's a whole range of different ways in which we'll power our devices of the future. Maybe even, for example, using energy flows inside your body, tapping into those to generate power. We've got to open our minds up to a range of possibilities that we just haven't considered so far.
What do you think is going to be the key driving force in the next 2 to 3 years or 5 years down the road?
Customer insight.
customer side?
Yeah, people talking about technology is great, and we need the technology. We mustn't ignore it. We've got to keep developing the technology platforms and the infrastructure and the solutions. But the key thing is understanding our customers, how their behaviours are changing, working with them to get their ideas about what they want, and really to understand the ways in which they're living their lives and what they're doing, and identifying how we can use the technology to solve that. So one of the things is we're aging as a society. People are living into their hundreds now, more and more, a lot of people living into their 90s. They need tools to communicate, but they don't want to be banging keyboards. So and they don't even want to be typing on a screen. What they want are photographs of their family, so they can literally press the button of their daughter or their niece or their granddaughter and instantly be communicated to with them, and let that person at the other end switch the phone off after the call rather than them do it. So we've got to really understand who the consumer is, what their needs are, the ways in which their lives are evolving, and then be making sure that the technology really does evolve to fit their needs. And you're seeing, in the technology world, some people really get that. So you look at, a lot of the stuff that BlackBerry doing, RIM are doing, it really starts to get under the skin of the consumer in the sense of understanding them, their behaviours, the way they want to use technology, the way in which they're leading their lives. And then you look at some of the manufacturers who were dominant in the industry a few years ago, who've really missed that, who've just focused on saying, we're technologically superior, the world should understand that, and completely missing who the customer was, what the customer needs were. So I think you're seeing some very interesting shifts in the marketplace, and more, I think that customer focus, the customer insight, and getting customer ideas into our design will become critical.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Rohit. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.